Funny. He's so excited to see the playoffs today. He's just already sitting down there. That's okay. I'm excited too. What's going on, everybody? It is Saturday morning. We have not just Wild Card Weekend, Super Wild Card Weekend. I am excited. I am ready for some football. And for those of you who are new to me doing these sorts of videos, whenever I talk about the NFL, I always wear my Jay Cutler jersey. My name is Nick Cutler. And even though Jay Cutler is no longer in the NFL, hey, the jersey still exists. So, yes. And if you need, further proof, I don't know if you can. Yeah, that's. So, yes, this is a Jay Cutler jersey. For those of you who are wondering, yes, I actually used to have one when we played for Denver, but I lost that one. But he was more known for the Bears anyway, so there you go. Speaking of which, the Bears actually did make the playoffs. Which brings us into, well, first before I do my, before I get into the main topic of this video, I need to do my low, my high, my act of kindness. Let's see. My low was, it was particularly cold out yesterday. Very cold. Did not care for that at all. Seriously, sometimes, I was just out for, a few seconds and, I immediately, please let me back inside. So, yes, that was my, low. My high, I got to spend the evening with my family. And, I actually got to suggest what we had for dinner last night. If you guys remember me saying yesterday, I am Catholic, and if you are Catholic, this is your time of year to get all the meat on Fridays that you can, before Lent starts on February 17th. So last night, I suggested that my mom make burgers. We had burgers last night for dinner. They were very good. And I did a mom food. So yes, mom food. It was awesome. I did a mom food chronicle on burgers, which is on my channel for your viewing pleasure. So if you want to see more about how my mom makes burgers, you can look that up on my channel, which you should subscribe to, by the way. Anyway, and my act of kindness, simply put, I helped clean up after dinner and put things away and help take out the garbage. I helped out after dinner, which is very nice. I love seeing my folks. I'm going to be seeing I'm going to be seeing my dad, and we're just going to be watching football all day. Which brings me into the topic of today's video. If you're new to this, if you're a devotee or you know what this is, if you're new, let me explain. Since last year was the first year where I did what's called a top 11 Super Bowl matchups that I want to see. Now, you're probably wondering, why are you doing top 11? Well, for many years, I've been a fan of a one Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic. And one type of videos he does is the top 11 whatever. And why does he go top 11? Because he likes to go one step beyond. And for the sake of this video, so shall I. So, without further ado, these are the top 11 Super Bowl matchups that I want to see. But before we begin, we need to have some ground rules. I can't just make this list ground rules, can I? That would make no sense. So, rule number 1. Your team, the teams on this list, has to be a team that has made the playoffs. If you, unfortunately, are one of those teams that did not make the playoffs, you cannot be on this list. There are 14 potential teams, 7 potential Super Bowl is it 7? It's between 2 teams, so at the very least, you're looking like 14 possible, actually lots of combinations. The point is, if you are a team that made the playoffs and therefore could potentially go to play in the Super Bowl, there you go. So yeah, you're there. Actually, come to think of it, now that I realize it, I should probably fix one thing on this list. I'll get to that as we go along. I actually already wrote this list before making this video, but now I'm having second thoughts on something. I'm sorry. Anyway, option 2. This has to be a possible Super Bowl matchup. What do I mean by that? Simply put, it has to consist of one team representing the AFC and one team representing the NFC. Believe me, it'd be easier for me to do the Chiefs versus everybody else. But don't worry, I find a way around that sort of thing later on. And finally, what's the hype factor? If you don't know what the hype factor is, yes, there are quite a few possible Super Bowl matchups, but some potential storylines could be a lot bigger than others. See, one thing you're going to find a lot on this list, and pretty much everything after, hold on a second. Hold on. Again, this is a list I gotta do. So, anything from, sorry, this is me doing it last minute to change my mind. I'm sorry. Everything from 9 forward is like all Super Bowl rematches. So, yeah. You can imagine that the first two, while number 11 and number 10 are going to be pretty big, they're not really as big as, the others going forward. So, without further ado, number 11, and this is actually where I just simply changed my mind, if I can find it, hold on. My number 11 pick is, if I can find it, my number 11 pick, the Ravens versus the Buccaneers. If you're a fan of Undisputed, you know one of the big arguments that Skip and Shannon have had over the years is which team defensively was better, the Ravens that won the Super Bowl or the Buccaneers that won the Super Bowl the year later. Shannon Sharp, being a member of that Ravens team, would say the Ravens. Skip Bayless would say Tampa Bay. What better way to sort of, really, have a nice sort of really big argument about that than by having a Super Bowl matchup here. All right, so without further ado, sorry, this is going to be a little bit confusing. Okay, hold on. It's hard getting the right paper. Hold on. All right. Number 10. I'm actually going to get this one out of the way because, to be honest, perfectly I wanted to put this one a little bit higher, but as more and more rematches kept popping up, this one kept getting lower and lower. But this is still going to be really important. And that is the Browns versus everyone. Fun story about the Cleveland Browns, ladies and gentlemen. Of the 14 teams here, the Browns have never made it to the Super Bowl. Any of the possible 6 matchups that you have for this upcoming Super Bowl that can feature the Browns could make for a great story. At first, we would then have to see. Now, yes, I am speaking of the fact that every team here actually has to make it to the Super Bowl. But if you're not, it's like what I said for the ground rules. If you didn't make the playoffs, you can't qualify. The Browns made the playoffs, they qualified to be a potential Super Bowl matchup. I am not going to question that. So, without being further ado, let's have rematches, the musical. It's not really a musical, folks. I'm trying to be funny here. Okay, so, actually, yeah, it's number 9. That is, if I can get to it. This is actually what I put on this list a year ago, but considering the times and considering why this would be significant, I had to put it on here. The Chiefs or the Ravens versus the Seahawks. Now, why is this one important? Well, let's be honest, 2020 was a year loaded with all sorts of bad stuff and violent protests and, important things going on like the Black Lives Matter movement. Interesting fact about this particular Super Bowl matchup. If the Chiefs or the Ravens and the Seahawks make it to the Super Bowl, it would be the very first Super Bowl in which both starting quarterbacks were of African descent. Yeah. And considering that, the Black Lives Matter movement, everything that went on, in 2020, what happened in D.C. a couple of days ago, or better yet, the fact that the Super Bowl is in February, and February is Black History Month, yeah, I would say that's a very good idea for a Super Bowl matchup, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay. So, with that being said, now we can get into the Super Bowl rematches. Now, which Super Bowl rematch is going to be number one? We'll have to see. But before we begin, we have to get to number 8. And that one is the Titans versus the Rams, the Super Bowl 34 rematch. The Super Bowl where the Titans lost by 1 yard. That'd be a good one, right? And you mind, that game ended by the Titans losing by a yard. And that was about exciting as a game as you could hope to get. So how big are the other ones going to be, huh? Now I bet you're curious. Alright, so. That being said, number 7. Man, this gets confusing sometimes. I need a better notebook for this. The Colts versus the Bears. The Super Bowl 20 rematch. Actually, it's, I got the wrong number, don't I? It's Super Bowl 41 rematch. I'm sorry. Let me fix that. Super Bowl 41 rematch. Yeah, Super Bowl 41 rematch. I'm sorry. But yes, for those of you who don't know, Super Bowl 41 was the Colts versus the Bears, and that was Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl win. So as you can imagine, this is pretty special. So a rematch between those two teams in this Super Bowl, that'd make for some good drama, right? With that being said, number 6. The Steelers versus the Seahawks. This is the Super Bowl 40 rematch that I was alluding to earlier. Now, why is this one important? See, there's been many controversial calls and such in the over 100-year history of the NFL. And say what you want about the Seahawks losing Super Bowl 49, in which one could say that Pete Carroll made the worst offensive call in the history of the NFL, or the New England Patriots made the best defensive play in the NFL. When the Seahawks lost that Super Bowl, you can make the argument that it should or shouldn't have happened. What everyone can agree on, the Seahawks never should have lost Super Bowl 40. Why did the Seahawks lose Super Bowl 40? One reason. Bad NFL officiating. Seriously, the NFL officiating Super Bowl 40 was so bad that it made the no-law, no-call look like charity work. The Steelers were practically handed the Lombardi Trophy that game. So, needless to say, a rematch between the Steelers and the Seahawks, that would probably rewrite some wrongs. Just some thought right there. I got a loogie backing up. Hold on. Sorry. Let's see, number, yeah, right, this is number 5. Number 5, and that is the Colts versus the Saints. The iconic Drew Brees versus Peyton Manning Super Bowl, in which Drew Brees actually out-dueled Peyton Manning and won that Super Bowl. Funny thing is, Drew Brees is still playing for the Saints. Who the Colts have? Phillip Rivers, who, is in no way, shape, or form Peyton Manning, but he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks going at it? Yeah, I'd watch that. Okay, this one's number 4. Actually, speaking of number 4, let me tell you a story. A story I have told before, but it bears repeating. When I was at Gettysburg College, I would go to this one place to watch the Super Bowl called the Attic. Every year I watched the Super Bowl there, all 4 teams had won. The first Super Bowl matchup in which I rooted for the team that won was Super Bowl 40, the one I just said, the Saints versus the Colts. So it only makes sense that a year later, the Super Bowl 45 rematch, the Steelers versus the Packers. And naturally, Aaron Rodgers versus Ben Roethlisberger. That was a big matchup then. And it could potentially be a big matchup even now. So there we go. Alright, so, number 3. Now, this is not a Super Bowl matchup, mind you. Hold on. I gotta show you number 3. If I can get it. All right. Number 3. Now, this is not a Super Bowl rematch, but I still felt this one should be on here simply because there really is some hype and narrative behind both teams. And that is the Chiefs versus the Rams or the Saints. A couple years ago, actually it was like 2 years ago now, the Chiefs were responsible on a Monday Night Football game where they lost the Rams 54-51. It's quite possibly the greatest Monday Night Football matchup in the history of the NFL. As for the Chiefs and the Saints, come on, Drew Brees versus Patrick Mahomes. This is the Super Bowl matchup we should have gotten that same year. You know, again, I mentioned the no-on-no call earlier. That's why the Saints didn't go to the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs didn't go to the Super Bowl because they lost to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Funny enough, that year, the Chiefs versus the Rams or the Saints actually, when I first started making NFL picks, if any of you guys remember, I was actually predicting the Chiefs and the Rams to be in the Super Bowl. And I was actually almost right. So the fact I could actually have this again, all right, I'll do that, sure. Now then, now we gotta get into number 2. If I can, yes, this is the one I screwed up earlier. Hold on a second. Number 2, if I can. Number 2. Now, I'll make this clear. I am from upstate New York. I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. But there are some teams I do legitimately have a soft spot for. And because I live in upstate New York, one of those teams, obviously, is the Buffalo Bills. If you don't know the history of the NFL, then know this. The Buffalo Bills are the only team to not only go to 4 Super Bowls, but they did it in a row. And they lost all 4 of them. In one of those matchups, it was to Washington. So yes, my number 2 Super Bowl matchup that I want to see, the Buffalo Bills versus the Washington football team, the Super Bowl 26 rematch. And needless to say, it'd be a pretty big game to watch. Not gonna lie. Plus, the Bills finally have dominance in the AFC East again. And it's probably going to be that way for the foreseeable future. Josh Allen's playing out of his mind. Then you have the Washington football team. Alex Smith, most likely can come back player of the year. Their head coach, Ron Rivera, battling cancer. Come on, this would just be the perfect, it would almost make for the perfect Super Bowl matchup for the ages. But you can't really have that without, let's see, there's only one that's better. And that is number 1. What was number 1? Alright. I get what you're thinking. What could number 1 be? If I can actually get to it. It's the Chiefs and the Packers. Now, if you remember watching this particular video a year ago, then you remember that I actually had the Chiefs versus any team from the NFC North at number 11. So how did that go from, because remember the Vikings made it last year. So, well, really it was because the Vikings made it. And if the Vikings and the Chiefs played, that'd be a Super Bowl 4 rematch. So this is a rematch too. not just any Super Bowl rematch. The Packers versus the Chiefs would be a rematch of Super Bowl I, the very first Super Bowl ever. It'd be pretty big, but there's more to it than just that. See, it is rather underwhelming that I'm picking that out. That obviously I'm picking the two number 1 seeds that are in the playoffs to make it to the Super Bowl, because one would say those are the two teams that are most likely to do it. You know, they have the bye week. You know, they played the best all throughout the year. Both Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers have been playing out of their mind, you know. So it is rather underwhelming until you look at the real details behind this. And by details, I mean 3 letters. MVP. Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers are both poised to win the MVP this year. The question is, who's going to win it? And whoever does win it, what's the other team going to do in response? Or better yet, whoever wins the NFL MVP, could they break the MVP curse? For those of you who don't know what the MVP curse is, basically, since Kurt Warner won the MVP back in 1999, maybe it was 2000, no player that's won the MVP has ever won the Super Bowl the same year. Maybe the curse could be broken. Who knows? Either way, these are all matchups that I want to see. I really could have any of these. Actually, there's lots of other potential matches I could have done that I didn't put on here. Heck, I could have done the Titans versus the Packers if I wanted to. A rematch of the Titans blowout or the Packers blowing out the Titans a while ago. So, needless to say, there's going to be a lot of hype factor for this Super Bowl in a lot of ways. And I'm excited to see it all. Like, favorite, share, the subscribe button, follow me on social platforms, turn notifications on YouTube. I'm very home to this video for all of you guys who watch and enjoy today. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Get ready to watch some football. And remember, if you guys want to talk, the channel is going to be here to lend you, always right back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.